Hey there, everyone. This is another edition of Skipper's Musings. I'm actually not driving right now. So I know you're going to say, oh, you're in your car. I'm not driving. And my thing is on the hands-free, too. So today, there was a major thing that happened. The Supreme Court ruled that nationwide injunctions are not a thing. That they have zero basis in the Constitution and the Judiciary Act of 1789. Those are the two primary documents that give our federal courts, that gives them their powers. Everything else beyond there is normally case law or was, enacted later. But those are the two core documents that we use, and they're, for the most part, unchanged ever since the founding. And nationwide injunctions, or as they call them, universal injunctions, they weren't a thing in the 18th and the 19th century. And they only really started happening after the New Deal in the 20th century. So for just shy of 100 years, we've been experiencing all of these universal injunctions. I prefer nationwide injunctions myself, but everyone's using universal, so I'll use that terminology for this. And that was very powerful to the judicial branch, because you would have presidents making decisions that they were voted in to make. And you had justices coming in saying, I don't agree. They weren't making really a decision on whether it was constitutional, but they were definitely making a decision by this cannot be enacted until there's a decision. And the thing about that is it made it, the federal justice system moves very slow, much slower than your municipal and state governments. So if you go to court in your locale, everything's going to go faster than in federal court. Federal court, everything moves like mud. So getting an injunction nationwide meant it sometimes could be a couple years before whatever was the president decided would actually happen. And when you look at the president's term as only 4 years, that takes a significant power away from the executive. Especially when it comes to things like with this case, it was Trump ran that he was going to end birthright citizenship. And people said, yeah, I like that. They voted Trump into office. This isn't something that just came up. It's not something that the people really didn't get a chance to decide. They did. And, so this is taking a major power away from these federal judges. And I'm not trying to focus on this case, because this is a nuclear bomb, folks. A nuclear bomb. This when the Supreme Court, they generally don't rule on things because it has such reverberation, and it's gonna shake up laws, not just national laws but state laws, and it's gonna change how things are done at every at appeals courts and federal courts, in state courts. So the Supreme Court knows when they do a nuclear bomb, it's a big deal. And I've been reading Justice Amy Coney Barrett's her decision on this, because she was the one that wrote the decision, and it's very well written. I will say that it's very well written. I think she was chosen because she's probably one of the more historical of the Supreme Court justices, knows what the history is. And that's absolutely how this is written. It talks about the history of our country and of the judiciary branch. And pretty much they said, look, the other side was saying, oh, no, this is an absolute power. We've been doing it for this many years, and it's never been challenged. And she said that's exactly the point. It's never been challenged. So the Supreme Court has never decided whether it was legal or not. And this is the first time they're saying, no, those are not legal at all. But this is a nuclear bomb. This has taken such a major thing off the plate of federal judges. And, a lot of that, it shows the pendulum always swings one way or the other. And it shows you how far it swang with Trump in office, that the Supreme Court was willing to come in and say, yeah, this power that the federal judges have decided for themselves, we, the highest court in the land, do not agree. We do not agree at all. So that's a big deal. I hope everyone realizes what a big deal that is. It's going to change how a lot of things are done. There's been a lot of lawyers and organizations that have gone judge shopping, all to just get an injunction. Really, that's been the goal. Hey, we don't think we can beat this, but what we're going to do is we're going to find a judge to get an injunction. Maybe we can delay it until the next administration comes in, and then we'll get something more favorable. That is off the table. That is off the table. And I think you're going to see lobbying firms really start to scramble. Really, because now that's something that they are not able to do. I'm a little bit dressed up today because Skipper was at a veterans memorial service today. Veteran I knew. But yeah, this is going to be huge. Absolutely huge. Please give your comments to me. What do you think about this? I understand a lot of people they're not nerds like me. They don't follow the court system like I do. I've said it before. When I was a journalism student and I was told, no, you're going to go to court today and you're going to write a story about the cases that you see. That's when I fell in love with court cases and just really following. I will also recommend, there's a great guy out there, Steve Lato. He's an attorney out of Michigan. He's got a YouTube channel called Lato's Law. Great guy. He does a lot of stories about what's happening in court. He doesn't go too in depth about them. He gets them as they're finished, but he talks about them, and he also talks about the repercussions. So he's a great guy if you're looking to start finding out about some of these cases. And I'm not talking about the murder trials that get all of the attention. I'm talking about the stupid cases. The cases that you're like, you can sue over that? Oh, yeah. There's a lot of stuff like that out there. So that's just one good resource, one guy that I follow. I also follow Mark Smith of the Four Boxes Diner because I follow a lot of Second Amendment law type stuff because I find that very interesting. And, a lot of veterans, we like our guns. So this is going to change the way a lot of things are done. I think you're going to see people and groups scramble for decades because of this, because they were getting so used to, they had this playbook that they would use, and they now have to scrap the whole thing. They can't do it the way they used to. So that's Skipper's musings for today. Thank you for joining me. And as always, thank you for being worth serving.